and we're off. Ooh, it feels immediately, oh, there's turbo. There's turbo, oh my God. Pitch it in under braking, trail braking, holy ah! What's happened? Oh my God, this is so much, why is this so much harder? Hey, welcome to Downshift. My name is Matt. This is the Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 4xe, and this is a 2024, which means, believe it or not, it's new, it's updated. So what we're gonna do today is take a tour, and I'm gonna show you everything that's been updated or is new, and then we're gonna take it for a little bit of a drive. Let's get into it. So first, why do I keep saying new in quotes? This is a facelift model year. The JL has been out since 2018, and now, 5 years later, it gets an incredibly subtle update. But that's kind of the way of the Wrangler, sticking to its roots, right? So what is new then for 2024? Well, you're looking at it, the grille. It's a little bit shorter, and it's dark, I think, as standard. And that's kind of about it, honestly. They did have to rework some of the airflow to maximize cooling because they made the grille intakes and openings smaller, but the grille is the only major change for this year. But with that said, I should mention that now you can spec this Warn winch from the factory. Now, Warn is one of the most prolific brands of winch manufacturer out there. It's much better than the shmittybilt. And this one does about 8,000 pounds of capacity. You always want kind of like 1.5 times your vehicle's weight in your winch. So this checks out just about. Now, this is not a free option. They've actually revised the grille to account for adding this from the factory. But this is a $2,000 option to get this winch. It is nice, though, that the grille was designed with this in mind and you can get it from the factory. And if you were looking closely, you'll notice that there is no more floppy, long antenna up here anymore. It's actually worked into the windshield right here, believe it or not. Now, the windshield still comes down. It still rests on these rubber grommets here, but you have the antenna built in there. And of course, the windshield is Gorilla Glass because, well, it needs to be, because look at how vertical this is, and rocks love to break vertical glass. So we covered what's new outside, but what's new inside? This is the big story here. You get this huge 12.3 inch screen as standard across all trims. It's fantastic. It's running Uconnect 5, updated of course. You get wireless Apple CarPlay, which is what you're seeing here. Icons are a little small, but I complained about that in the Subaru and you didn't seem to, you thought I was a complainer. So anyway, won't talk about it. But you get wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, over-the-air updates. You don't, however, have a 360 camera, which is something that we talk about in our pro and con video. So make sure you check that out. And of course, we'll talk about a whole host of off-road apps and things later on. Now, this is the 4xe, but what does that mean? Well, it means that this is a plug-in hybrid. It's actually the best-selling plug-in hybrid in the North American market, and it represents 40% of all Wrangler sales. It's a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. It's kind of wheezy at its base, but then you've got 2 electric motors, and combined output is 375 horsepower and 470 pound-feet of torque, and that's the same torque figure that you'll get in the big 6.4-liter NA V8 392. 0 to 60 done in about 6 seconds, so this thing is not slow, it just sounds kind of terrible. And if you were wondering about fully electric range, you can go over just over 20 miles of fully electric range. Your charging door is here on the front driver fender. And I do want to take a second to plug my Emporia charger, which was awesome this week, worked super well. It charged this thing from completely flat to full in under 2.5 hours. So if you're going to get one of these, any other plug-in hybrid or an EV, definitely get an Emporia wall charger. But then, speaking of that, let's talk about efficiency. Now you have 3 distinct drive modes here. E-Save is exactly what you think it is. It's going to save the electric power and predominantly use the gas engine. So in E-Save, I got about 15 to 17 mpg, depending on which way the wind was blowing. Then, in the middle, you've got hybrid. Well, that's the middle between E-Save and electric anyway. And in hybrid, your fuel economy goes up to a whopping 20 mpg. Whoa, great. But then, of course, with a full battery and a full tank, interestingly, this thing still shows less than 300 miles of range on a full battery and a full tank of gas. So it's not exactly Greta approved, it's not super efficient. But then what about towing? This thing is actually downgraded a little bit. The 4xe is downgraded to 3,500 pounds of towing, and that's because it has to tow itself 5,200 pounds worth, and then it can tow up to 3,500 pounds. If you want to get max towing, you have to spec the V6, the Pentastar, with the automatic and Dana 44 axles, and that will upgrade you to 5,000 pounds of towing. But then what about wheels and tires? Here, as standard. You get BFG KO2 Baja Champion all-terrain tires. It's fantastic. You'd love to see it. I love these tires. I had these on my 4Runner. But these are the 33-inch tires. Now those are still bigger tires than you're going to get on like a Tundra TRD Pro, but they're not the 35s that you can get with the Extreme Recon package. And that's important because you cannot get the Extreme Recon package with your 4xe. And this is a Wrangler, but more importantly, it's the Rubicon X. It's an $8,500 package, and it gets you things like steel front bumpers, skid plates underneath, rock rails, disconnecting front sway bars, front and rear lockers. You get, of course, the big wheels and tires. And of course, you get full LEDs as standard as part of the Rubicon X package, and you also get adaptive cruise as standard on the Rubicons. You don't get any type of lane keep whatsoever, though, and that's probably because you still have recirculating ball steering and a solid front axle. But I also want to take a second to talk about this paint. Now this paint is called Earl Grey. It's like $600, but it looks fantastic. It's kind of like a Nardo. It's very milky and chalky, but it looks great with the matte black Rubicon hood package or decal. This is of course to kill the glare from bouncing off the hood and into your face. And I do like it with the blue accents that you get with the 4xe everywhere. And speaking of which, where are all the blue accents? Well, of course, you get recovery fangs up front for 4xe. You get it here on your hood decal. You get it rimming your Rubicon side decal. Your trail rated badge is blue accented. Your Jeep is outlined Wrangler sticker. And all of your center caps have the little Willys in blue. And around the back, you've got 4xe and a rear recovery in blue. But then what about the interior colors? Of course, it's black. Now, you can get a red interior, but only with the V8, only with the 392. So it's black here, heated seats, great. But you get blue stitched Rubicon into your seat, blue stitching here, blue stitching for the inside of your steering wheel, blue accent and stitching here on your dash, and all the way across this faux carbon fiber, and even in the back. One place you don't get it, on your shifters and your handbrake. Now there are some big changes that they've made for 2024 that you just can't see. Like for example, this now comes standard with side curtain airbags, at least for every trim other than the base sport trim. And they've also worked in a bunch of NVH or improved NVH, acoustic glass and redone top and that sort of thing. And it's supposed to make the truck a little bit quieter on the highway. If it did, it wasn't super meaningful because it's still super loud, but I did notice an improvement. And then look at this cluster. It's still not fully digital, which of course you can get in a Bronco. And this is funny, Jeep said they didn't want to, quote, overwhelm their customers. I mean, really? With a piece of technology that's been around for like a decade? I think Audi introduced the virtual cockpit in like 2014. So what does that say about what Jeep thinks about their customers and what they can handle? I mean, they're not Toyota people, but one of the big updates for 2024 is, of course, the big screen, but you also have a bunch of new off-road stuff. You have the normal stuff like your off-road pages, which will show you your differential information, steering angle, and all your sway bar accessory and that sort of thing. Gauges for temps, pitch and roll, and of course your forward-facing camera. This turns off at like 10 miles an hour, which is a little bit annoying if you're going to go fast off-road, as we saw, but it's still pretty cool. And then you go back here, and you've got things like trail recordings, so you can actually mount stuff up to here. You can record trails that you've done, which is really cool. Front camera, you can integrate with the front camera to record it. And importantly, I thought this was really cool, you got GPS trail logs. Now Jeep told me, or Jeep told everyone, I guess, that they've showed up to different Jeep events across the country, and they see that everyone's running basically an iPad with Gaia GPS because they want to be able to access offline trail maps. So they've got it. They've built it in here for you from the factory. Thank you, Jeep. Very nice. And the last one is adventure guides, which is really cool. You can kind of like download trails and just research general off-roading, trail running, and overlanding stuff from your Jeep. And look at this. We have our full-length fabric Fiat style roof. Now this is a $3,300 option. And you can operate the roof up to 50 miles an hour, which is actually pretty quick. And it's standard on all high altitude trims. Now I will say with this, it does allow more noise to come in, so it's still pretty loud on the road, but you know, that's typical Wrangler stuff. And of course, you know, the windows and doors and the windshield comes down, so it is still a Wrangler. But I do like this. I don't have to take off my roof panels and find a place to put them. I can just have the open top experience right away. And then there's a trunk, which will be familiar. Swing open, and then you lift up the glass. It's very, very classic. You got your JL schematics here, as you have for the last few years. Very nice, very cool. And then of course you've got an accessory panel here that you can attach stuff. 28 cubic feet of storage here. That is 5 less than you'll get in the non-plug-in hybrid version, but you've got, you know, a case for your chargers and your roof panels, and you still have your Alpine system, so that's real good. And you can drop the seats, but with the seats folded, the floor is not even kind of flat, and that's for, well, I'll just show you. That's because this is where your battery lives. It lives under the rear seats. Now don't worry, it's very water sealed and everything is very safe and all that, but you fold the rear seats and you can see there's, I mean, like halfway up my hand. So about from here up, that's the gain in elevation that you get. But with the seats down, you know, I'm 6'1". I can sit back here reasonably okay. I'm actually sitting behind myself there. This is artificially back, but I do have about an inch or two of room. Got kind of netting here, fang to hang stuff, vents, window controls, chargers. But I also have, only on this side, the hammer and pickaxe. I don't know why it's on that side and not that side, but you have it here. And this is the part of the video where we count Willys logos, because Jeep is known for their Easter eggs, and they've hidden a bunch of Willys logos or old Willys icons all over the Jeep. The first and most apparent is going to be on the center cap of all 4 of your wheels, so that's 4 of them. And you usually have a little Easter egg here on the corner of your windshield, and you do here as well, so that's 5. But that's it for the outside. Then you have one here on your rear floor mat, 6. And then you've got one on your shifter, which is pretty obvious. Interestingly though, not a Willys for the crawl control, and not a Willys for your air circulation. And also when you turn it on, there's a little Jeep here, but not a Willys. Look at that little guy. And I want to talk about this for a second, because to me, and probably to you, this looks like carbon fiber, and it does. But it's like rubberized. It's like some sort of weird texture. And I get this is fast, but this is like the most conflicting notion of all time. Rubber is always used in off-roaders to suggest durability and off-roady, and then carbon fiber is always to suggest speed and performance. So a clash of ideals here. And then there's just a couple odds and ends in here. You know, you've got like heated seats, which is great, but you don't have cooled seats. Again, that's not really a surprise. Your windows are not automatic up-down, which is a little bit annoying. Your glove box is like weirdly skinny and small. And the interior, in fact, in general, is skinny. I'm sitting here. It's, you know, it's wider than the previous generation G-Wagon, but I can almost reach across without leaning and touch the other door. And the Apple CarPlay icons here are pretty small, and this thing doesn't have the most consistent and supple ride, so I do find myself having to anchor and then hitting it with my thumb, but I'm not complaining. I complained in the Subaru video and I got yelled at, so I'm not complaining. And last but not least, of course, price. Now this thing starts at $60,000, but as tested, we're at $77,000, and that's because we've added $8,500 for our Rubicon X Package. We've added $3,300 for our fabric skytop roof, and we've added $2,000 for the winch and $600 for the Earl Grey paint. And that gets you to $77,000. That's quite a bit. But that's enough talk. Let's grab the key and go for a drive. So here at Downshift, you already know we're all about useful consumer advice. So here's something that no one's ever asked for. Is the Wrangler 4xe faster around an off-road course in full electric mode or in hybrid mode? Well, today's your lucky day, because we're gonna find out. Ready? In 3, 2, 1. I should also mention, I can't floor it because that'll kick on the gas engine. So it'll be a little bit of a slow start, but we're gonna get to going. 3, 2, 1. Ooh, it's weird, it's so quiet. It's so quiet. Ooh, it doesn't love to brake. It's heavy. It actually feels pretty quick though. The immediate torque is really something on this off-road stuff. Where did my forward-facing camera go? That's where I need it. Why have you turned off? Why have you abandoned me? Like my father. Just kidding, Dad, I love you. This feels quick though. It is weird to have no sound. All right, here comes the ruddy bits. Oh, huck it in. Oh, there's a big old boulder there. Careful now, careful now. Brake for the ruddy bits. Don't kill Kelly's Jeep. Coming up. Good approach. Again, forward-facing camera goes off at certain speeds. Now I've lost it entirely. Ah! Rotate, rotate, doesn't want to rotate, doesn't want to rotate. Ooh, there we go. And across the line. Okay, we're in hybrid mode. Yes, good. All right. Front facing camera on. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Nope, I'm in park. I wish I could say that that's the first time I've done that, but we did that in the Bronco Raptor too. 3, 2, 1. And we're off. Ooh, it feels immediately. Oh, there's turbo. There's turbo. Oh my God. Pitch it in under braking. Trail braking. Holy ah! What's happened? Oh my God, this is so much. Why is this so much harder? Oh, I've lost front facing camera. Oh, it's weird. It's like there's something affecting the steering in terms of how it's producing power. It's not as linear or natural as the electric. It does feel noticeably faster though. I'm gonna avoid that rut a little bit more if I can. Yeah, see, the turbo just wants to shove it along. You actually have so much more control and finesse with just the electric. Up the hill, up the hill, up the hill. Brake at the top for breakover and down the hill. Woo! There's that tummy in the air feeling. Whoa! Get it around on power. Not that much. Stupid recirculating ball steering. On power, rotate it and across the line. Wow, that was a handful and a half. I gotta be honest. When we came into this first corner, it got on power right about here and then just completely lost it over here. The steering is not as fast. Not as fast, not as much finesse. Ooh, that was fun though. So yeah, this is not a Baja vehicle. So when you go over a certain speed, the front facing camera is gonna turn off because I'm not in Baja mode. There is not a Baja mode. So yeah, something to be aware of. So that's it. Those are the 23 things that you need to know about the Jeep Wrangler Rubicon X 4xe. And it's pretty cool. But if you want to know some more context, at least in terms of how it compares to its main rival, the Ford Bronco, make sure you check out our pro and cons best in the rest video on the channel now. We'll see you there.